morning all. Myself, Dr. Jyoti Masare, Head Department of Mathematics, School of Computational Science, Punyashloka Ahiladevi Holkar, Solapur University, Solapur. I heartily welcome you all on this occasion of Popular Mathematics Lecture Week. I heartily welcome the guest speaker of this today's session, Professor and Director Dr. Daneshwar Pawar sir from School of Mathematical Sciences, Swami Ramananda Tirtha Marathwada University, Nanded. I heartily welcome all the dear students, participants and faculties also for this third session of guest lecture series. Every year, Department of Mathematics is celebrating the National Mathematics Day, which is the birth anniversary of the great Indian mathematician Srinivas Ramanujan, by organizing a mega competition and a popular lecture quiz. This year also we have organized the same during 27 December to 4 January, and this is the third session of this lecture week. I now request one of our faculty, Ms. Uzma Muchale ma'am, for the introduction of the guest speaker, Professor D. Pawar sir.
Ma'am, I am going to introduce, ma'am.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Good morning to all, dear. Okay, ma'am. Good morning to all, dear student and respected sir. Punyashloka Ahiladevi Holkar, Solapur University Solapur, School of Computational Sciences, Department of Mathematics, organizes the Popular Mathematics Lecture Week on the occasion of National Mathematics Day 2021. So today, we have our guest is respected Sir Dr. Daneshwar Dadaji Pawar, Professor at School of Mathematical Sciences, Swami Ramananda Tirtha Marathwada University, Nanded. So Sir has a 5 years at UG level and 20 years at PG level teaching experiences. So Sir has the thrust of areas of research of Sir is the theory of relativity, cosmological models, fractional calculus, and fractional differential equations. So till now, Sir presented 34 papers presentation at different conferences and workshops. Under the guidance of Sir, till now 3 PhD and 4 MPhil students awarded. As a resource person, they guided in 5 international and 19 national conferences and workshops. They also held position in member of Board of Student SRGM University Nanded, Shahu College Latur, and KBCNM University Jalgaon, and also in SPPU Pune, Savitribai Phule Pune University Pune, and the coordinator of SETNet coaching for SC, ST, OBC, and minority, etc. So, Sir received the special award and honor in Mahatma Phule Dr. Ambedkar Award for Research and Extension, provided by the government of Vidarbha Institute of Sciences and Humanities, Amravati. So, Sir, till now, they organizes 17 and attended 18 programs of seminar, conferences, and workshop. So today, they are going to introduce the topic basics of integral transform and fractional calculus. Thank you, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you, Kandi sir. Now I request Professor D.D. Pawar sir to start the session, please.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. My screen is visible?
No, sir. Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
Okay.
Yes.
Now it is visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Sir, can you just please make full screen?
Okay. Just.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, one and all. I am Professor D.D. Pawar, Director, School of Mathematical Sciences. Today I want to talk about some basics of integral transforms and fractional calculus. Complete outline of my talk is, first of all, I want to discuss about some brief historical introduction of integral transforms, as well as there is some connection in between the integral transforms and fractional calculus. Then I will talk about the fractional calculus and its application. Maybe I will talk about the k-right function because it is an advanced topic, and I have observed that all the participants may be from MSc. So I will, after the discussion of the integral transform, I will shift towards the fractional calculus, means basics of fractional calculus. If you are interested, then I will go to the applications in terms of Sumudo transform and fractional kinetic equations and all those things. Dear friends, I have quoted some quotes of mathematicians. One of the very important quote provided by Joseph Fourier: the profound study of nature is the most fertile ground for mathematical discoveries. Actually, I would say not only for mathematical discoveries, but for all the discoveries. Nature provides the ground because many ideas, research ideas, as well as many new invention that is coming from the nature. We received a lot of ideas from the nature and we got different discoveries. Like that, Joseph Fourier said that mathematical discoveries also have the profound study of nature is the most fertile ground for mathematical discoveries. Second thing, Henry Poincaré: if you wish to foresee the future of mathematics, our proper course is to study the history and present condition of the science. Means when we go to the present situation, present scenario of the science, then we always study the history, because what is the basic development of that new invention? After that basic development, now the present case is, a present scenario is there. That's why this statement or this quote is also played very, very important role. And the third and very much important, that was provided by Laplace, Pierre-Simon Laplace: what we know is not much, what we do not know is immense. Generally what happened, we know little bit, but we talk very much. We say that I know each and everything, I have completed my PhD, I have published so many papers and all those things, and I know complete mathematics, but that is not the case. Because of this statement, say that what we know is not much, but what we do not know is immense. So with these few quotes, now come to our topic. Today I want to talk about the integral transform, basics of integral transforms. And before going to talk about the integral transform, first of all, we will see the historical development of all the integral transforms. Dear friends, if we go back to the history, then we know that there are two basic integral transform. One is the Laplace and another is the Fourier. These two transforms played very important role in the development of subject integral transforms, and these two transforms are also very much useful for getting the solutions of differential equations, integral equations, and many more. Dear friends, nowadays we have observed so many different kinds of transformations are there, but these two are the basics and newly invented by Laplace and Fourier. If we see in 1780s, Laplace publishes one of the book on probability theory, and in his book he has used some of the basic results of the Laplace transform, and which was one of the oldest and most commonly used integral transform available in the mathematical literature. And this has effectively been used in finding the solution of linear differential equations and integral equation. Actually, Laplace was published his book in 1780s, but he has used some concept of Fourier transform. Actually, the work of Fourier transform in 1822. And in that work, 1822, Fourier has given the idea of Fourier transform. First of all, Fourier, I will discuss about it in detail also. But Laplace also taken some ideas from the Fourier. That's why actually means invention of transform, a credit of invention of transform will goes to the Fourier transform actually. In 1822, Fourier published his treatise. That treatise means one of his research book, and that research book is the Analytical Theory of Heat Equations. In that book, he has introduced the modern mathematical theory of finding the solution of heat equations or heat conductions. And in that book, he has first stated is one of the very remarkable result that is universally known as the Fourier integral theorem. Initially, Fourier introduced the Fourier integral theorem. Already we are familiar with that Fourier integral theorem. In that Fourier integral theorem, we observe that Fourier has given many examples, introduced many examples stating that an arbitrary function defined on a finite interval and can be expanded in terms of trigonometric series, which is now universally known as the Fourier series. Initially, Fourier was thinking about the expansion, arbitrary function defined on a finite interval. Fourier defined arbitrary function on finite interval, and that can be expanded in terms of the trigonometric series. All of you know the definition of that Fourier series also. That Fourier series containing the terms regarding in terms of trigonometric series. And that arbitrary function is defined in finite interval. After some years, Fourier himself extended his own idea of defining the function on finite interval into the infinite interval. When he was extended his idea finite interval to infinite interval, at that time, that kind of extension we called Fourier discovered an integral transform and its inversion formula, and now we call it as a Fourier transform and its inverse Fourier transform. This celebrated work of Fourier was known to Laplace as well as Cauchy, and they were used this work of Fourier in their research work also. On the other hand, Poisson, S.D. Poisson also independently used the method of transform in his research on the propagation of water waves. Because invention is different and use of that transform for some application, that is different. Also, Leibniz, Lagrange, Laplace made considerable contributions to symbolic methods which became known as operational calculus. Because we observe that there is some methods are there, Leibniz also, Lagrange also, and Laplace provide some methods for the development of operational calculus. Actually, we know that someone invented the new idea, new rules, or new some techniques in mathematics. If that technique will be used or will be applied somewhere, means it has some application, then that technique will be universally accepted or that technique will be well known. Just like that, Laplace and Fourier have been discovered its transforms in the 19th century. In 1730 as well as in 1822, they were invented their transform, but it was the British electrical engineer Oliver Heaviside who made the Laplace transform very popular by using it to solve that ordinary differential equations of electrical circuits and systems. Okay, and this transform nowadays it will be useful everywhere in fractional differential equation also, in finding the solution of integral equations also. But initially it was used by Heaviside for finding the solution of differential equations of electrical circuit. Okay. Again, I want to quote one point that Laplace transform is a special case of the Fourier transform. Where it is, Laplace transform is a special case of Fourier transform for a class of functions defined on the positive real axis, but it is more simple than the Fourier transform. If we compare both the transform, Laplace and Fourier, the Laplace transform is a special case of Fourier transform, but it is more applicable than the Fourier transform. How it is applicable? Why we apply the Laplace transform as compared to the Fourier transform? There are three different reasons are there. First one, we know that Laplace transform as well as Fourier transform. These two transforms are the improper integrals. And for finding the solution of improper integrals, it is one of the difficult tasks. It is not possible every time to get the solution of that kind of integral equation, integrations. Because integrals are improper integral. It has some special technique to find out the integrals. Okay, means if we compare both the integrals, then what happened? The question about the convergence of that transform. If we got the solution in terms of something, is that solution will be convergent or not? If the solution is convergent, then and then it has some meaning. Otherwise, no meaning for that solution. There is just some mathematical technique. Okay, that's why the importance or use of Laplace transform is more than the Fourier transform, because if we observe the definition of Laplace transform, in its definition, the kernel is e to the power minus st. Okay, the kernel is the exponential of e to the power minus st. S and t both are the positive numbers. If both are the positive number, it means that kernel is an exponentially decaying function. If it is exponentially decaying function, means that series, infinite series, converges towards some value. Means there is no question about the convergence of Laplace transform. It is very simple as compared to the Fourier transform. Second thing is, Laplace transform is an analytic function of the complex variable. Okay, and we already studied analytical function in details in complex analysis. So its properties we easily studied with the help of complex variable. That's why second one of the important thing is Laplace transform is an analytic function of the complex variable. Third thing, Fourier integral formula. Initially, Fourier introduced the Fourier integral formula, and that formula provided the definition of Laplace transform and its inverse transform in terms of complex contour integral. And we know that complex contour integral can be evaluated with the help of Cauchy residue theorem and deformation of contour in the complex plane. These are the three main important reasons we used Laplace transform more than the Fourier transform. Okay, the concept of integral transform is originated, actually it is the basic concept of integral transform is originated from the Fourier integral formula, because Fourier introduced was the Fourier integral formula. The importance of this integral formula is that they provide powerful operational method for solving initial and boundary value problems. The operational calculus of integral transform is used to solve the differential equations, fractional differential equation, integral equations in different branches of physics, engineering, and mathematics. You know the definition of Fourier transform. In this definition, we observe that the integrals are infinite minus infinity to plus infinity. Fourier transform and its inverse transform both are defined in terms of infinite, means improper integrals are there. And here, if we observe the kernel of this Fourier transform, that kernel is e to the power minus tau t, minus I times tau t, means this is the kernel in terms of complex form. It is the complex number e to the power minus I tau t. And this is the just inverse of its. And if we observe the definition of Laplace transform, it is easy as compared to the Laplace transform. It is a half range series 0 to infinity e to the power minus tau t f of t dt. And its inverse is defined in this way. Here this exponential function is a decaying kernel. It is a decaying kernel because tau t both are the positive real number, positive numbers, and exponential of negative power of positive real number is naturally a decaying function. So its convergence is easy as compared to the Fourier transform. Again, third one of the important transform is the Mellin transform, and it is considered as one of the most significant and most widely used integral transform in many branches of mathematics as well as engineering. See that just now I have talked about that there are so many integral transform out there, and there is a question mark about why we use different kinds of transform. just like as derivative, just like as integral. Why there is not only one integral transform will be there? Here, Fourier transform is there, Laplace transform is there, Mellin transform is there, Sumuro transform is there, Hankel transform is there. So many different kinds of transformation. And nowadays, many mathematicians try to develop the new kind of transform. Many researchers just define the new kernel and define the transform and has given their names for that transforms also. Then what is the purpose of defining different kinds of transforms? Say that many applications many times that under this definition, if we choose different kinds of function, that integrals will not solvable. In many cases, that integrals are not solvable means it does not have the solution, that solution having the convergence series. At that time, there is a need of new kind of transform. That's why there are different definitions we have observed in our literature, in our mathematics research. Okay, if we talk about the Mellin transform, Mellin transform is also strongly linked to the Fourier transform, and it is most suitable for certain application. Just now I talk about. Sometimes some transform will be more useful than the other one. And where Mellin transform is more suitable for the as compared to the Fourier and Laplace, if we talk about the functions of the hypergeometric type kernels, if the function is of the hypergeometric type kernel and the theory of special functions like Legendre function, Bessel functions, are some special kinds of functions of hypergeometric type. And if we observe, I think in your syllabus, fractional calculus is there or not? Hello?
No, sir.
Okay, no problem. If we observe the development of fractional calculus for finding the solution, this Mellin transform also played a very important role for finding the solutions of fractional differential equation. That's why each transform has their own applications, or they have some played important role in some particular kind of certain cases. Okay, so Mellin transform particularly used for finding the solutions of the functions of hypergeometric type kernel, as well as in fractional calculus, as well as and the theory of special functions. And we observe that its definition is more simple than the previous two. It is integral 0 to t, t raised to tau minus 1 f of t dt. This is the definition of inverse Mellin transform. Now we observe the convolution theorem. We know that the convolution theorem in Laplace transform as well as convolution theorem in Fourier transform. These two convolution theorem, either in Fourier or Laplace, it has the same kind of application is there. If we define the star function, if we talk about the Laplace transform or Fourier transform, at that time that function is g of t minus tau f of t, or g of t f of tau minus t. Means there is a shifting in the variable tau minus t, either in first function or in second function. Here we define theta and f. These are the two functions. We can say that theta of tau minus t f of t, or theta of t f of tau minus t. This kind of convolution theorems existed in Laplace and Fourier. Okay, but this convolution theorem in Mellin, it is something different than the previous two. This convolution is defined in terms of fraction. Means that two variables tau and t having the fraction with first function theta of tau upon t, f of t dt by t. Means this is the change in the convolution theorem of previous two. Laplace and Fourier having the same kind of convolution theorem, but Mellin transform having the different convolution technique. Now it is very recent transform, Sumuro transform. In 1990, Gamage Watugula has introduced the new transform, namely called Sumuro transform. Actually, if we observe Laplace, Mellin, Fourier, all these transform are the names of the mathematicians. Means Laplace transform, is the name of Laplace, mathematician Laplace, Fourier transform, as well as Mellin transform. But Sumudo transform, Sumudo is not the name of any mathematician. The meaning of Sumudo is the smooth, and this is Sinhala word. It is one of the Sinhala word. And if we observe the definition of Sumudo transform, it is just Sumudo transform is a theoretical dual of the Laplace transform. If we observe the definition of Laplace transform, see that e to the power minus tau t f of t dt. Here, the role of functions are interchange. It is a dual. Means here we observe that exponential function is a function of single variable and f is a function of two variables. In the Laplace transform, exponential is a function of two variables and f is a function of single variable. Here it is a dual. Dual means exponential is e to the power minus t and f is f of tau t, product of that two variables tau and t. And we know that Laplace transform is the transform of real variable into the complex variable. Yes, Fourier transform is different than the Laplace transform. Now, integral transform of some fractional approaches. Later on, I will discuss about the fractional calculus and definitions of fractional, different fractional integrals and derivatives and all those things. So, before going to talk about all those things, first of all, I will talk about fractional calculus. Then I will come back. My screen is visible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now it's okay?
Yes, sir. It is full screen now. Okay.
Okay. Now come to the fractional calculus. Then I will connect both the subject integral transform and fractional calculus. Now the basics of fractional calculus. All of you are already familiar with all that notations of derivatives and integral, first order derivative, second order derivative, and third order derivative. We say that it is a integer order calculus. First integral, double integral, third integral, nth integral, like that. And we know that all these symbols, or were invented by independently Newton and Leibniz in the 17th century. Okay. All of you already familiar, we used in our daily practices all that differentials and all that integrals first to up to nth order. But in 1695, there was some questions, or there was some discussion in between the two great mathematicians, L'Hospital and Leibniz. There is a discussion in between that. What happens if we change the order, that nth order, this nth order will be half, n equal to half. Is it possible? At that time, Leibniz replied that it will lead to a paradox from which one day useful consequences will be drawn. See that in 1695, they made some future, they made some statement about the future. It will lead to a paradox, but it will give some useful consequences. And nowadays, we observe that this fractional idea of fractional derivative and fractional integral played very, very important role in the development of different branches of science as well as engineering. Okay, previously those don't know about the fractional calculus, they know only about the first order, second order, nth order integrals as well as derivative. But you don't know that if we take what happened if we take the half order, 5th order of that derivative, or 3 minus 6i means complex order derivative and integration, what happened? For that purpose, that development of fractional calculus is important. The concept of fractional calculus and the orders where complete scenario or complete idea of the derivative and integral will be changed in the fractional calculus. If we observe the development of subject, fractional calculus. If we observe in 17th century, Newton and Leibniz independently defined these symbols and introduced the idea about the differentials and integrals. At the same time, actually see that invention or that fractional birth of the fractional calculus, it was in the discussion of L'Hospital and Leibniz, means in 1695, means it means again it was in at the end of 17th century, means fractional calculus is as older as than the integer order calculus. Both are comparably invented at the same time. But we know that till now, fractional calculus is not completely understandable, because initially mathematicians developed the fractional calculus, but no one or nowhere used that fractional calculus in their study because of very complicated formulas and tedious calculation. No one dared to use that fractional calculus in the research field or in the application field. Okay, initially from 1695 to till now, that in the development of fractional calculus is going on. I think in the 19th century, first book came out on the fractional calculus. And if we observe the development of integer order calculus, it was developed and used by the mathematicians as well as all the branches of research also. In engineering, science, and everywhere, computational science, everywhere, that integer order calculus played a very important role. But fractional calculus now from, I think, last 70 or 50 to 60 years, fractional calculus are used by the different researcher as compared to the mathematician. Now engineering peoples, researcher from engineering field used many use that fractional calculus in many applications. Nowadays, people are trying to develop all the ideas that were developed in integer order calculus. Now that will be developed in fractional calculus. We know that nowadays we observe that that biometric thumb impression is there, eye detection technique is there, again face recognition technique is there. All these techniques having the role of integral transform. In that techniques, important role played by the mathematicians again, and in that all that computational techniques, there is a role of integral transform. But all that integral transform are defined with the help of integer order calculus, means finite order, integer order derivative as well as integrals. Nowadays, all those techniques will try to develop in terms of the fractional integrals or fractional integral transforms. to get the more accuracy and more correctness. Okay, if we observe the development of rational calculus, initially Leibniz and Euler, Lagrange, Laplace, Abel, and nowadays we used Riemann, Caputos, and Ronval-Lettico. These three are played very important role, and they have provided the basic foundation for the rational calculus. Initially, all these mathematicians tried introduced very little bit ideas in the development of subject, but Ronval-Lettico, Raymond Liville, and Caputo has given the exact definition for the derivatives and integrals. How it is, you can see that. Again, this gamma function, you know the definition of gamma function. That gamma function is defined as, again, it is one of the improper integrals defined on the complex variable z, where real values of z greater than 0. In this definition of gamma function, why I have written the definition of gamma function here? Because gamma function very important role in the development of fractional calculus for getting the solutions of different differential equations. You know the properties of gamma function. Gamma function has a simple pole for the negative values as well as 0 value, because it is not defined on these values. And by integration by parts, gamma function will recursively given this formula, gamma of z plus 1 is equal to z into gamma z, and it can be expressed in terms of factorial notation also. This factorial notation, with the help of this factorial notation, actually the role of gamma function will introduce in fractional calculus, because in integer calculus factorial notation will useful everywhere. Okay, and with the help of this relation, see that this relation is very important role as far as the introduction of gamma function in the fractional differential equations. How it is, we will see the definition. That gamma function, gamma of n plus 1 will be defined in terms of factorial, that is n factorial. Okay, this NCR will be expressed in terms of gamma function. All of you are already familiar with all these formulas, but why I am discussing all those things? Because this formula had a very important role in the development. Again, gamma of z into gamma of 1 minus z is equal to pi upon sine pi z, because many times gamma function has not the exact solution. Sometimes we use such kind of formulas, sometimes we use that gamma of half is equal to root of pi and try to get the solution of that gamma function. Okay, with the help of this kind of formulas. Next, beta function. Beta function is defined for the two variables, z and omega. Just like as gamma function. Gamma function is defined for a single variable, beta function is defined for the two variables, z and omega. And we know that there is a relation in between beta and gamma. Again, this relation is very important. This relation is very important for the development. Beta is related with the gamma, and gamma is related with the beta because of this formula. The beta of z omega will be defined as, will be connected as gamma of z into gamma of omega upon gamma of z plus omega. And new function, I think all of you not familiar with this new function, that is Mittag-Leffler function of one parameter. You know the gamma function as well as beta function, but I think you don't have any idea about the Mittag-Leffler function. If we observe the definition of Mittag-Leffler function, see that E alpha of z, alpha is the parameter. That's why we call it is a Mittag-Leffler function of one parameter. It was introduced in 1903, means recently introduced by Mittag-Leffler, and it was developed with the help of gamma function. With the help of gamma function, this is the infinite series z raised to k upon gamma of alpha k plus 1. Alpha is one parameter. And in this series, if we observe that, we take particular case, alpha is equal to 1. Here, if we take particularly alpha is equal to 1, then what will be the series? Z raised to k upon gamma k plus 1. Z raised to k upon gamma k plus 1. Gamma k plus 1 means k factorial. Now tell me that summation of z raised to k upon k factorial represent which kind of series?
E to the power z.
Yes, good. It is e to the power z, means simply it is your exponential series. Yes, an exponential series having the solution that is convergent. That exponential series is always convergent series. That's why this Meta-Kepler function played a very, very important role for finding the solution. And this is just the expansion or extension of exponential series. Means with the help of, with the idea of exponential series, Meta-Kepler defined its functions, function of one parameter and function of two parameter. This is the Meta-Kepler function of two parameter. In place of one, here that one is replaced by beta. That same kind of series developed, that z raised to k upon gamma alpha k plus beta. And if we observe the particular values, if two parameter system, alpha and beta both are 1, alpha and beta both are 1, that is converted as exponential series e raised to z, just like as E1. E1 means Meta-Kepler function of one parameter with alpha is equal to 1. At that time, both the values are exponential. Because of these values, see that all those values, Meta-Kepler function will be expressed in terms of exponential, cos hyperbolic function, sine hyperbolic function, and because of this conversion of functions in terms of trigonometric and hyperbolic functions, it will provide us the solution for the differential equation in terms of trigonometry or in terms of hyperbolic or in terms of exponential functions. That's why this means initially we have observed gamma function, beta function. With the help of beta and gamma, that Meta-Kepler define its new series or new functions of one parameter and two parameter. He used the technique of gamma function with the help of exponential series. Okay. How that fractional calculus was developed, idea of fractional calculus was developed in 1730. So many mathematicians have played the role of in the development of fractional calculus, but I have considered one or two cases. One is Euler. Euler was introduced his idea in 1730s. How he was developed the idea? Very simple technique is there. All of you know that if we take f of x is a algebraic function of order n, except okay. If we take its nth order derivative, you know that successive nth order differentiation, easily we will calculate its nth order derivative, and that formula will be like this. If m is greater than or equal to n, it will be n factorial. If m equal to n, and it will be 0 if m is less than n. We know that if m is less than n, order of derivative is greater than the order of that function. At the time, its value will go to 0. Okay. In this definition, we observe that Euler introduced the idea of gamma function. Just now I was talking about the property of gamma function in terms of factorial. See that the idea of factorial, m factorial is replaced by gamma m plus 1. This m minus n factorial is replaced by gamma m minus n plus 1. Okay, and because of this replacement, gamma function is defined for any variable z. It is any complex number. Here, particularly all these factorial m and all this n is an integer order. N is an integer order. M is also the integer order. At that time, that derivative is calculated in terms of integer order, factorial notation, all those things. Okay, the same idea, same derivative extended or put the value in terms of gamma. After putting all this value in terms of gamma, now this nth order, n is an integer value. This integer n was replaced by alpha. Euler replaced it by alpha. Alpha is a fraction. It is fraction number, and m equal to nu. Means considering the fractional order derivative, now this can be expressed in this way, and there is no problem under the gamma. Either it will be integer or either it will be the fraction. That's why the equation 5 representing the idea, first idea of fractional order derivative. If we can replace that n by directly alpha, this is the formula. Second concept of introduction of fractional idea of fractional calculus provided by Liouville. See that if we observe the nth order derivative of exponential function, nth order derivative of exponential function is e to the power ax is a raised to n into e to the power ax. It is very simple. But that n now replaced by nu. That nu is any real number. Simply replace n by the nu, and then that derivative can be expressed in this formula a raised to nu e to the power ax. And this idea is extended in the form of series. This series is summation an e to the power nx. At that time, its fractional derivative of that infinite series can be expressed in terms of an raised to alpha e to the power anx. May simply introduce that nth order derivative by fractional order derivative. It was the idea provided by Liouville. Second idea, second kind of concept provided by Liouville. Previously, it was developed in terms of exponential function. Here, the idea is in terms of algebraic function, just like as Euler. Here, he was considered the exponential function of negative power. Then that formula was extended in the form of this, and the series, just like as previous idea, it was extended for the series infinite series n x to the power minus n, and its fractional order derivative of infinite series can be expressed in this. With this idea, we observe that if we take the value of a is equal to 0, half the order of constant will be 1 upon root of pi x by Liouville formula, and this will be 0 by Euler's formula. See that there is a conflict in between the two derivatives founded by the two different mathematicians. All of you know that if we take the derivative of constant function, any kind of order, first order, second order, like that, derivative of constant will become 0. But that is not the case in the fractional calculus. In the fractional order derivative, we observe that in here, in the both techniques, the half order will be 1 upon root pi x, and here the half order of that constant will be 0. Okay. In fractional calculus, many times, in many definitions, the half order derivative of constant is not 0. It has some particular value. Now come to the concrete, means foundational development of fractional calculus. Previously, I was discussed about some little bit extension or little bit contribution of that mathematicians in the development of fractional. But here in 1869, Sonin published his paper, and in his paper he was provided the concrete definition of Riemann-Liouville integral. He was collecting the idea of Riemann and Liouville and defined the definition of fractional integral, particular definition of fractional integral. Before that, no one was developed. Only given some technique to find out the value of particular kind of exponential function or algebraic function or something like that, but no one were given the exact concrete definition of fractional integral. In 1869, first definition was published by Sonin in his paper, and that definition called it as a Riemann-Liouville integral. Say that this is the definition. This definition is defined, f of t is defined, it belongs to C of closed interval AB. It is defined and denoted by b to the power minus p. This negative sign represents the integral of order p. This is the integration of order p. Negative sign represents the integral, positive sign represents the derivative. In the fractional calculus, there is no different kinds of notation for the integration and derivative. Only if we take the negative sign here, it represents the integral. Positive sign is there, it represents the derivative. Okay, this p is the any real number. P belongs to 0 to infinity. Here it is defined a positive real number with 0 value. P with a positive real number with 0 value also, and this a and t. A and t represent the limits of that integral a to t. We say that it is a left limit and right limit. Sorry, we can say that lower limit and upper limit a to t. This is the notation for integral. This also expressed in terms of integral like this. D raised to minus represent as a I is the integral, or d to the power minus sign represent as the integral. Okay, both the symbols have, both the notations have equal meaning. Generally, we use this notation. Okay, and in this definition, just now I was talking about in the development that gamma played an important role here in this definition. 1 upon gamma p is there. This gamma is again come into the picture. Okay, that integral a to t minus tau s to p minus 1 f of tau dt. This is the definition of Riemann-Leibniz integral. This power p is the real number, positive real number. Again, under the gamma p is a positive real number. Here, I have quoted some properties of Riemann-Leibniz fractional integral. Why I have quoted here, I will discuss later on. These are the properties. First property, here we have defined the integral. That integral of zeroth order integral of function is itself. It is natural property of our integer order integral. If we take the integration of some linear equation, it satisfies the linear property. It will be separately distributed. I have to write out in this way. There is no problem about this property also. Again, if we observe that integral of integral f of t, integral of integral f of t is two-dimensional, double integral. It is just like a summation of that two integrals means minus p plus q, summation of that integrals. These properties again, as usual, just like as our integer order calculus. Every time I will talk about integer order calculus and fractional order calculus. Why? I want to compare both the results in integer order as well as in fractional order. Okay. In fractional order, integer order also, all those properties are already valid. All those properties are also satisfied by the Riemann-Leibniz fractional integral. These are the important properties in terms of integral. Now come to the derivative, definition of derivative. The question or the problem coming into the picture in terms of the derivative. How it is, we will see that. If we observe the definition, see that negative sign, there is no negative sign, positive sign is there, raised to the power plus p. Plus p means it represents a derivative. Okay, derivative, fractional order derivative of f of t. Here, the definition of derivative will define in terms of, again in terms of fractional integrals. And if we talk about the Riemann-Leibniz, von Wall-Letnikov, or if we talk about the Caputo derivative, all those definitions will be expressed in terms of, again, derivatives will be expressed in terms of the integrals. How it is, see that the idea is this pth order will be written as k minus k plus p. Now it will be distributed as d to the power k, and this minus k plus p written as minus of k minus p. Minus of k minus p, k is greater than p, means this is a positive number. See that p is less than k, means k is greater than the p, means this power is a positive power and it has some negative sign. But d to the power minus of some positive term, it means this is the integral. This is the fractional order integral. Close bracket is a fractional order integral, and outside that you observe that d to the power k, and k is a positive integer. Means simply it is the product of integer order derivative and fractional order integral, and that can be, we know just now we have defined the fractional order integral. Use the definition with power k minus p. So 1 upon gamma k minus p. This d to the power k means integer order derivative. That integer order derivative is d raised to k upon dt raised to k. Integral is a to t, and this, as usual definition, just now we have defined t minus tau raised to k minus p minus 1 f of tau d tau. Okay. In this way, Riemann-Leibniz fractional derivative is defined with the help of its fractional integral. Now there is a problem about the properties of this fractional derivative. What are the problems? Now see that. If we observe the product of derivative and integral, in our integer order calculus, always derivative is the inverse of integral and inverse is a derivative of, sorry, integral is the inverse of derivative and derivative is the inverse of integral. But if we observe in terms of the fractional order derivative and fractional order integral, the first thing, derivative is the left inverse of integral. See that. This is the derivative, this is the integral. If we take the product, this is f of the original function. It means that the fractional order derivative is the left inverse of fractional order integral. Okay. But that is not the case for the right inverse. Means fractional order derivative is not the right inverse of fractional order integral. Means they are not commutative. But in integer order calculus, what happens? Either you can take inverse of derivative or inverse of integral. There is no problem. Both of the same. But here the case is that if we take the derivative of integral, that is f of t. But integral of derivative, that is not simply f of t, there is some extra term is there. This much extra quantity will be subtracted from the f of t. Means it is not as usual property as the integer order calculus. Okay, it means that it is not commutative. Derivative and integral is not commutative, it is not equal. Again, the composition of derivative and integral is not possible. Means derivative of integral or integral of derivative. It is one-sided, it is true. Left derivative, we applied the left derivative from left side, it is okay. But if we apply the integral from left side, then there is some extra term is there, and this much extra term will be added. Again, we can say that this property is not commutative. Okay, this order is not commutative. This is for the same order of derivative, same order of integral, but this result is for different order: fifth order derivative, fifth order integral, or we can say that fifth order integral, fifth order derivative. At that time, this result is also not true. Again, both the derivatives. We know that every time, is it possible that every time that partial derivatives are commutative? Mixed partial derivatives are equal? Yes. Mixed partial derivatives are not always equal. Here, if we take the composition of two derivatives of order q and of order p, p and q both are the real numbers, that is not again the composition. That is not simply equal to the order of p plus q. There is again the subtraction of extra term is there. Means again this property have some problems as compared to our integer order property. Again, say that if we interchange the whole of p and q, it has again same kind of thing is there. Means that composition of p derivatives of order p and q is not possible. They are not commute with each other or any order. Okay, and these are equal only if this derivative p minus jth order derivative at t equal to a will be 0. If this derivative will be 0, then this will be equal. Means there is some restrictions are there. Okay, some restrictions are there on that properties. Again, we know that Leibniz rule played a very important role if the product of function will be there. And if the product of function will be there, and if we want to find out the derivative of that product of two functions, at that time, the Leibniz rule will be there. Or if we take the derivative under the integral sign, at that time, Leibniz rule played very important role. Here, if we observe that the fractional derivative of product of these two functions, that fractional derivative will be defined. If we go to the Leibniz theorem in terms of integer order calculus, there is only such kind of series is there, finite series is there. But here, this extra term is subtracted. That extra term is this much. But fortunately, this Leibniz theorem is also true here, but it is very difficult to us to get the solution of such kind of complicated integral. Okay, that's why many times that Riemann-Leibniz derivative, somewhere we want to use the Leibniz theorem. At that time, we don't want to use this Leibniz derivative in the applications of product of two functions if we want to find out the fractional derivative of product of two functions. This f of tau and phi of tau along with all its derivative are continuous. If both the functions are continuous, then and then it is played a role just like as the Leibniz theorem in integer order calculus. This is just like as our integer order calculus Leibniz theorem. Then it will be there if these two functions, f as well as phi, both the functions have all its derivatives are continuous. Then and then we can easily use this Leibniz theorem in fractional order calculus. Up to now the second derivative. See that actually the technique of integral, either we can say that Riemann-Leibniz up to fractional derivative, or we can say that Riemann-Leibniz integrals. All these definitions of integrals are exactly same. There is no problem in the definitions of integrals, but there is a big problem in the definitions of their particular kind of fractional derivatives. There is a change in the definition of fractional order derivative of Riemann-Leibniz Caputo. There is a big change. What kind of change is there? Now see the definition of M Caputo fractional derivative. We say that Caputo fractional derivative. Again, the technique is same. Previously, when in the definition of Riemann-Leibniz derivative, we have adjusted that derivative in terms of this. Similarly, here that the derivative fifth order derivative can be expressed. This C, that C in upper position represent as a Caputo. Means this is the notation for Caputo derivative. That Caputo derivative, that fifth order derivative can be minus n plus n. Now this minus n plus n can be d to the power minus n minus p f raised to n. Means here previously observe that integer order derivative of fractional order integral. We see the definition of this. In this definition, observe that the adjustment presentation is integer order derivative of fractional order integral. Now the idea is change. Idea is here, see that fractional order integral of integer order derivative. This n represent the integer order, and that n minus p represent the fractional order. Means this is simply the fractional order integral of nth order derivative of the function. Means under the integral sign, f plus 2n will be there. Means nth order integer order derivative of that function. We simply calculate the integer order nth order derivative and then take its fractional order integral. Okay, there is small modification between both the definition, Caputo as well as Riemann-Leibniz. But because of this small change, there is big change in their properties. What kind of changes are there? Now observe that. There is interpolation properties. You know that. If we observe the limit function, all of you familiar with this formula, limit of p tends to n, means order p tends to n, then simply it is nth order derivative. But if we take the left side derivative, it is a right derivative, it is left derivative as far as the integer order calculus is concerned. For the left derivative, what happened? It is not simply f to the power n minus 1. There is some extra term is there. Means again, the interpolation property is not valid in Caputo fractional derivative. As just like as integer order, there is no problem. Left derivative simply it is f, right derivative simply it is p to the power n. Left derivative is simply f to the power n minus 1. But this extra term is here. There is no problem about the linearity property. Linearity property is satisfied. But again, there is a problem of the derivative. If we take the derivative is non-commutative. Here, if we take the integer order derivative and fractional order derivative, they are not commutative. M is the integer order, P is the fractional order. They are not commutative with each other. Here, observe that. One-sided, it is composited. Means this is the fractional order derivative, this is the integer order derivative, this can be done as p plus m. But that is not equal to the integer order derivative of fractional order derivative. They are not commutative, non-commutative properties there. Again, just like as Riemann-Leibniz, here is also Leibniz rule is also provided by the Caputo fractional derivative. But again, some extra term is there. There is a problem about this extra term. And same kind of thing is there, just like as if this f and phi is continuous, at that time we got the simple fractional order, a simple Leibniz formula, just like as our integer order calculus. The relation between both the derivatives, capital derivatives and Riemann-Lively derivative. See that capital derivative can be expressed in terms of Riemann-Lively derivative, but some extra term will be subtracted from that derivative. This is the relation. They are not exactly equal with both the same. Means if we find out the capital derivative of some function, that will have some different values, and if we will find out the capital derivative of same function, that Riemann-Lively derivative of same function, that will have different values. See that capital derivative of constant function is 0, but Riemann-Lively derivative of constant function is k into t to the power p upon gamma p plus 1. Because of this formula. This formula played a very important role for finding the values of any kind of functions. Here, this t minus a is an algebraic function. Capital derivative of this algebraic function is calculated with this formula. Again, Riemann-Lively function derivative of this function is defined in this way. With these two formulas, we have calculated the derivatives of constant function, but it has the different values. The derivative of capital derivative of constant function is 0, but the derivative of Riemann-Lively function, Riemann-Lively derivative is not 0. That is something different than the capital. That is a change in between both the derivatives. Next definition is Riemann. Again, the question is that why we have defined the different kinds of derivatives. Not only this Riemann-Lively, Caputo, Grunwald-Letnikov. Nowadays, Hilbert derivative is there, Hadamard derivative is there, fractional derivative. Hilbert-Hadamard fractional derivative is there. Recently, many derivatives coming into the picture in the development of fractional calculus. But the question is why we define the different derivatives for the fractional calculus. Because we have observed that there are so many properties that satisfied in the fractional, integer order derivatives, that properties will not satisfied in the fractional order derivatives. Some of the derivatives satisfied some of the properties, and some of the properties will not satisfy. That's why those means at the time of our research, at the time of our applications, we use those derivatives that will be applicable for our purpose. Sometimes we want Leibniz theorem. That Leibniz theorem will be suitable from Riemann-Lively. We can use Riemann-Lively. Or that Leibniz property will suitable for us from Caputo. Then we can use the Caputo derivative. Or sometimes some properties will satisfy by Caputo. That property we need for our calculations. At that time, we will use the Caputo derivative. That's why many mathematicians try to give the naive definition to accommodate lot of properties from the integer order derivative. But till mathematician not get complete success to accommodate all those properties in a single definition. That's why many definitions came into the picture. Okay. Initially, when I was studied fractional calculus, because from last 5 to 6 years, I have studied the fractional calculus. Initially, I don't know anything about the fractional calculus. I started my study. At that time, I learn all those definitions. So I have same kind of question in my mind that why different kinds of derivatives are here. But after complete overlook of that subject, at that time I recognize that what is the purpose behind all those definitions. Okay. This is the new approach provided by Grunwald-Letnikov. This approach with the help of backward difference method means it is one of the technique of Riemann integral or simple linear integral. Technique of linear integral used by the Grunwald-Letnikov and define the new kind of derivative. This derivative is in terms of limit s tends to 0 and this series with the help of combination PCR. And this definition is defined in this way. This GL represents the Grunwald-Letnikov derivative. But again, it has the same kind of problem in terms of the properties of composition of integer order derivative and fractional order derivative. Again, it has the property of composition of two derivatives. They are not commutative with each other, just like as our Caputo derivative. Means mathematician tried to accommodate all those properties but not succeed. This is the fractional order integral provided by Grunwald-Letnikov with the help of again technique of backward difference method. Now, I don't want to discuss the fractional order methods of integrations. Madam, how much time is remain?
Sir, if you want to continue, you can. Otherwise, it will depend on you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I just want to show some fractional kinetic equation, and then I will stop within 10 minutes.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Last time we have discussed about the integral transform of some fractional approaches. Okay. Just now we have talked about the Riemann-Leibniz fractional integral. You are familiar with this definition. This gamma represents the order, fractional order integral. This is the definition of fractional Riemann-Leibniz. I have used this Riemann-Leibniz fractional integral in my research paper. In that, with this definition, see that Laplace transform of this fractional order integral. There is application of Laplace transform on this fractional order integral. Now, if we take the Laplace transform of this fractional order integral, that will becomes this f of t. F of t will be transformed as f of tau. It is usual transformation, but there is some multiple of this transformation, tau raised to minus gamma. This extra term is multiplied to the transformation. Okay, after taking the Laplace transform of fractional order integral. If we observe the Mellin transform, then there is some shifting in the variable. There is no shifting is there. Simple transformation of t into tau, and there is multiple of some tau raised to minus gamma. Here, multiplication is there. Some multiplied term is there. Again, that variable tau is shifted with alpha. Means f of tau plus alpha is there in the transformation. That is the application of Mellin transform on the same integral. And now next is Sumudo transform. Sumudo transform, I was talking about Sumudo is just the theoretical dual of Laplace. See that it is again treated as just like as Laplace. See that Laplace transform and Sumudo transform is just like a similar transformation. Only see that tau raised to minus gamma is there. Here tau raised to plus gamma is there. Tau raised to gamma g of tau. Okay. With this transformation, okay, fractional kinetic equation. Initially, that kinetic equation played very important role in the development of dynamical system, physics, control system, engineering, to develop the mathematical models of fractional differential equations, modeling in mathematics. Some express some physical phenomena with the help of fractional differential equations. The kinetic equation describes the continuity of motions of substance. Okay, the extension and generalization of fractional kinetic equations involving many fractional operators. In 2000, means recently in 2000, Houbold and Mathai created a fractional differential equation of kinetic equation, which represent the rate of change of the reaction, the production rate, and the destruction rate given as follows. This is actually the differential equation, that is kinetic equation, but this differential equation will be shifted in terms of the fractional kinetic equation by Houbold and Mathai in 2000. This dou represent the rate of destruction, n represent the rate of reaction, p represent the rate of production, and nt is defined like this. Nt of t star is n of t minus t star. There is a shifting in t variable by t star. Now this is generalized. Its solution can be obtained in this way, and this solution will be expressed in terms of fractional order integral. Same solution will be extended, alternative solution provided by Hubold and Mathai, and that can be expressed in this formula. In this first order integral will be generalized in terms of fractional order integral. Say that equation 15, n of t minus n0 minus c0 raised to gamma d to the power minus gamma n of t. And this fractional order integral means it is, you can use either it will be the Riemann-Leibele, you can use it as Caputo-Gamma, Hilbert, Hadamard, anything. Which fractional order the integral will be suitable for you, you can use any definition. After that, Saxena and Kala generalize that fractional order derivative into the very general form, that is called fractional kinetic equation. That previously it was simply n of t minus n of 0. The multiple of n of 0 is 1. But here that Kala and Saxena replace that 1 by f of t. Means that f of t you can choose any function, any special functions, any hypergeometric function for getting the solution of this fractional order kinetic equation. Okay, here I have used the kinetic equation. Sorry, k-right function. I have used that f of t as a k-right function. It is now very complicated mathematics is there. I think no one will understand about this complicated mathematics. So I think, madam, I stop here. If some difficulties are there.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, to be very honest, I was also not knowing about fractional calculus much. But with your lecture, I also came to know what is fractional calculus exactly. And I hope students will also get benefited. And if they want to come in the research field of this fractional calculus, your lecture will be really helpful for those students. Now, if students have any questions or if they want to discuss with sir, they can unmute yourself and have a discussion. From student side. And various integral transforms also you have introduced, sir. We were not knowing the names also. Those names also we came to know with this lecture. Sir,
I tried my best to introduce integral transform as well as fractional calculus.
Yes, sir. Yes,
sir. So any question from student, really ask. If it is very simple question also, you will ask. Don't worry, I don't be hesitate. You can ask any question. Cosma ma'am, any question?
No, sir.
Sir, can I request to share your PPT if students wanted to study further on this topic of fractional calculus?
Okay, that PPT having again there are some extra literature is there, but
yes.
No problem. I will say.
Yeah, okay. No questions, I think, sir, from student side.
I think Dayanand sir.
Vyavahare, sir.
No, ma'am. When I read books, I have no such a data.
Actually, I think today's lecture will be helpful for you, sir. Vyavahare, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir. Very helpful, sir.
Topic.
Sir, he is the student working in this research area of fractional calculus.
I have taken very basic things because you told me that the student PG student, that's why I'm trying to give the basic information.
Yes, it was a new concept actually you have introduced, sir. For PG students, it's really new. Yeah, I think we don't have any queries from the students. We will go for vote of thanks. I request Usman madam to put the vote of thanks for this today's session.
Thank you, ma'am. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. So we are here for a popular lecture week. For popular lecture, we have prepared here It gives me an immense pleasure to deliver a vote of thanks. So, first of all, I will thank for the National Council for Science and Technology Communication (DST) Government of India and Rajiv Gandhi Science and Technology Commission Government of Maharashtra. And I will thank firstly our Honorable Vice Chancellor Madam, who has given an opportunity to conduct all these type of programs and giving us a permission. And then I will thank to our today's guest lecturer, Professor Dr. D.D. Pawar sir. Sir, thank you very much for accepting our invitation and delivering a very nice talk on the fractional calculus, different definitions of the fractional Capiccio and Riemann-Liouville. All this definition will be helpful for the students, those who are wanted to do a research in the fractional. Thank you very much, sir. And lastly, I will thank to our HOD ma'am for arranging such a function, and our last but not the least, our all the students and listeners from the different colleges and the university for attending this lecture. Uh, Thank you everyone once again. Thank you, ma'am.
So thank you again for giving a valuable time to us for this lecture.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.